Alright guys, today we're going to do something a little bit different and make a low-carb lasagna. And this is all we're going to put in it. We've got ground beef, zucchini for the noodles, ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese to go on top, and this marinara sauce right here, which is actually, if we look at the carbohydrates here, 4 grams of carbohydrates for half a cup. So a low carb marinara sauce to go in there with our meat. So now for the first step. So the first step, and you can see my reflection right here, is to go ahead and set your oven to 350 and let that start preheating, because you want that to be ready by the time you put, there it goes, preheat right there. You want that to be ready to go by the time you get ready to put your lasagna in. And then the next step is going to be to get started on our meat. So we have our skillet here. I like cast iron, just my preference. I'm going to turn it on and add just a little bit of oil. I like to put a little bit of oil in my pan to try to keep my meat from sticking. So we're going to let that get hot and then we'll start our meat. While the pan is getting ready, while our skillet is getting ready, we're going to go ahead and prepare this zucchini. So I'm going to take my knife and all I'm going to do is chop off the ends, just a little bit on the ends, and then I'm going to take the zucchini and slice it long ways right down the middle. Try to get it as even as I can, just like that. Then we're just going to take a spoon and the inside of this zucchini, you see all the seeds in there, we want to just scoop all that out. So I'm just going to go through and get all this out of there. Now it's okay if you leave a few seeds in there, but you basically want to get most of it out, because that's what's going to cause a lot of water. That's going to be the soggy part of your zucchini. So you want the meaty parts of it. So what I do next, because this is a little bit too long, I'm going to slice it using my mandolin, but it's just a little bit too long to fit in there the way I need it to. So I'm going to take these, slice each one of them in half again, as close as I can get it to being in half. And then I've got a bowl over here. Slide that back, just slide my mandolin right on top, and I recommend that people do this using there's a thing you use on the top so that you don't slice your fingertips off. But if you're really careful, you take it slow. If you're not using that, go real slow with it, because this blade is very sharp. So once we get down towards the end of this piece, we're going to go even slower, and I'll even just use my fingertips, maybe even my fingernail to push it through, and that's about all I'm going to get out of that. So that piece, we'll just toss it aside. And what you'll end up with, you'll have some slices like this, nice good slices, and then you'll have others that look like that, and that's fine. Those can be used just fine. So then we'll finish slicing the rest of this and move on. Once you have all your zucchini sliced, what you want to do is just take salt and sprinkle it over all that zucchini. Get it all good and coated. Because what this is going to do is help draw out any extra water in there and help keep you from having a soggy lasagna. So once we get that good and coated, we're just going to let that sit for about 15 minutes and then we'll come back to it. And now the pan's good and hot. You can hold your hand above it and feel it, but you can see the oil has spread itself out as well. So that's a pretty good sign. And you can take it and spread it out around yourself if you need to. But we're just going to take this ground beef, and I like to just take it and crumble it up a little bit in there. You can hear it starting to sizzle a little bit. And that's good. So we'll break it up in there. We're going to grab our salt. Oh, our oven's ready. Good. Grab our salt, salt it really well. Put some pepper in there. Make sure you season it well. And then we'll let that cook. So we have our zucchini sitting. We have our meat cooking. Once the meat's ready, the zucchini should be about ready to start drying off. So we're just gonna let that go for a little while. Now that the ground beef's almost done, I'm going to start taking these pieces of zucchini, and you can look in here and see just how much water has come off of those. And you can see they're just soaking wet. So what we need to do is take these little pieces and lay them out on some paper towels. And then we're going to do that to dry them off. So bear with me while I get this done. So once we finish laying out one layer, we'll just grab a couple more paper towels, put them down on top, press it down just a little bit, and get the next layer on. Usually this is about 2 layers, so if I go over that this time, I'll be surprised. But usually it makes about two layers worth on the napkins, which is good because you'll need 2 layers worth in your lasagna. Exactly 2 layers worth. Put one more layer of paper towels on top, press it down, and let those dry. So they'll be ready to go when we get ready to piece our lasagna together. Now the ground beef looks just about ready. I like mine really fine. I don't like big pieces of, I don't like big chunks of meat when I do ground beef like this. So I'll give it one more good stir and a little bit of chopping in there, and it will be ready to drain. So there we go. I'm going to drain this real quick and then we'll go on. Now that the meat's been drained, added back into the pan, we're going to take a cup of that marinara sauce. We're going to pour it in there with it. And I still have the heat on low. It's as low as I can get it. Just to keep it warm till I can get this mixed in. And once we get it fairly well mixed up, I add just a little bit more salt and pepper, just to make sure it's well seasoned. Not a lot, just a little. Stir it up really well. And once that's mixed up, we can turn our heat off. And we're ready. Give it one last stir. And we're ready to start putting together our lasagna. So what I do is I take it and I divide it in half, and I already have this half ready to go. So we're just going to dump it in to the pan. Try not to let that other half get in there with it. There we go. And we take this spatula and spread it out. Get it nice and even on the bottom layer. So we're going to do 2 layers of meat, zucchini, and ricotta. So let's get that meat nice and even. And then we'll take our top layer of zucchini that we have right here. I can take that glove off now. We're just going to layer these in here as best we can. There's no exact method that I have developed to do this, so you might find a way that works better for you, but I just kind of lay it in here and try to get it to cover up as much of the meat mixture as I can. So I may put some of these on top of the others. Luckily this time I got a lot more of these full slices. So when you can get those, it makes it a lot nicer to get nice, even slices just like that. And then we'll put some across the middle. Since we have a whole nother row underneath here, we can feel free to use all of these here. So this will be a little bit thicker than just one row, which is fine. It helps the ricotta spread a little better too. Let's put that one there. I'll put this one over here. Like that, because these zucchini pieces don't really stay very well. So there we go. And that one can go right there. So then I'm going to take our ricotta. I've already taken the seal off, so don't worry, this did not come from the store this way. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of mush it up a little bit, soften it up, stir it some. Makes it a little bit easier to spread. And then just get a little bit, and I'll put it in kind of with my thumb, because if you're not careful, the zucchini will just pick right up with it, and it makes it a lot more difficult. And then you end up getting a lot more. If you like a lot of ricotta, that's fine, but you can end up putting way too much ricotta in here, like I did the first time I made this. So just kind of spread that out. You can see that zucchini just picked itself up right there. It'll stick to the spoon. So we'll get this one side kind of covered, and then I'll turn it around and do the other side. If you can kind of get it in the corner there, smooth it from there, smooth out a layer of it. That seems to work better for me. Just keep doing that until you get all the ricotta on that first layer. You don't have to have every last bit of zucchini covered up, because you really just want a sort of a thin layer of ricotta in there. So there we go. So you can see some of the zucchini still showing through, and that's just fine. So now, okay, my pan is not as hot anymore. We're going to do the same thing with the second layer. Meat, zucchini, and ricotta. All right, once we have the top layer of ricotta on, we're going to top it with mozzarella cheese. I think the recipe calls for a cup or a half a cup, but I just put it on until it looks right. So I will completely cover the top of this in mozzarella. And once you have that on, what you're going to want to do is take aluminum foil and wrap this entire thing in it. That's going to let it cook without the cheese burning on top. Because eventually, eventually you're going to want that cheese to get nice and brown and bubbly, but this thing has to cook first. So you wrap it in aluminum foil, and then we go to the oven. Now, we just let that cook for 30 minutes. So we'll set a timer, 30 minutes, and we'll come back and check on it once it beeps. Now that the 30 minutes are up, just take this foil off. We've got the oven set on broil instead of the 350. And you see the mozzarella is not yet brown. So now we're going to put it back in the oven and let it broil for about 2 minutes.